From my grandfather Verus, I learned to be kind and humble, and to control my anger and emotions. From the legacy of my father, I learned modesty and how to carry myself with dignity. From my mother, I learned to be devout and generous, avoiding not just bad actions but even bad intentions. She also taught me to be content with a simple life and to avoid the excesses that often come with wealth. From my great-grandfather, I learned the value of attending public lectures and seeking out excellent teachers, even if it meant great personal expense. From my mentor, I learned not to be overly passionate about the major teams in sports, like the chariot racing factions Prasini and Vanetti, or to show undue favouritism toward particular types of fighters in competitions, such as the Palmolari or Secatores gladiators. He taught me the value of hard work and self-reliance, the importance of simplicity and needs, doing my tasks personally rather than delegating, focusing on a few key projects and being cautious of engaging in or believing slander. From Diognetus, I gained insight into avoiding trivial pursuits and skepticism toward common rumours about miraculous powers, charlatans, or those claiming to perform magic or exorcisms. He advised me against wasting time on frivolous activities like keeping game birds for entertainment. He also impressed upon me the importance of tolerating others' freedom of speech and dedicating myself to philosophy. I'm grateful to him for introducing me to influential thinkers like Bacchius, Tandasis and Marcianus, and for inspiring me to write dialogues in my youth and embrace the modest, disciplined lifestyle associated with philosophical study. From Rusticus, I learned to recognise that my life needed improvement and healing. He taught me to avoid the superficial ambitions of typical philosophers, such as writing about popular theories or publicly preaching about virtue and philosophy. I also learned not to seek attention by pretending to be skilled in physical activities. I abandoned the study of rhetoric, poetry, and overly polished language and avoided any showy behaviour. Rusticus showed me how to write letters in a simple, straightforward way. He also taught me the importance of being quick to forgive and reconcile with those who wronged me, as long as they were willing to make amends. Through him I learned to read carefully, not to settle for superficial understanding or to quickly accept popular opinions. Most importantly, I'm grateful to him for introducing me to Epictetus's writings, which he gave to me from his own collection. From Apollonius, I learned the essence of true freedom and unwavering steadfastness, never letting anything, no matter how small, sway me from what is right and reasonable. Whether enduring sharp pain, suffering the loss of a child, or battling long-term illness, he taught me to remain consistent in character. He showed me that it's possible to be both passionate and composed, never losing patience or becoming frustrated with students' struggles to understand during his teachings. Apollonius was a living example of a man who valued all his abilities, but placed the least importance on his remarkable skill in teaching Stoic philosophy. From him I also learned how to graciously accept favours and kindnesses from friends without feeling indebted or compromising my principles, remaining balanced between gratitude and maintaining my integrity. Sextus exemplified gentleness and the leadership of a family through paternal care, with a clear commitment to living in harmony with nature. He maintained seriousness without pretense, observing the unique qualities of his friends without being upset by the foolish, or those swayed by popular opinions or philosophical trends. His interactions were a model of how to adapt to all people and situations. His presence was more enjoyable than any flatterer's charm, yet he earned deep respect and admiration. He had a rare gift for methodically and rationally organising essential guidance for living. He never showed anger or strong emotion, embodying stoic calmness while remaining deeply compassionate. He was well respected, yet lived without seeking attention, learned but never boastful. From Alexander the Grammarian, I learned not to be harsh or overly critical of others when they make mistakes in speech, such as using incorrect grammar or pronunciation. Instead of pointing out their errors directly, I should respond in a way that subtly corrects them. This could be by repeating the idea correctly in my reply, or by offering a tactful and indirect reminder of how it should have been said. From Fronto, I learned how much envy, deceit and hypocrisy surround those in positions of power, especially tyrannical rulers. I also understood how those considered nobly born may, in some ways, be disconnected from natural human empathy. From Alexander the Platonic, I learned not to frequently or unnecessarily say, "I'm too busy," whether in person or in writing. It's important not to use the excuse of being busy to neglect the obligations we have to our friends and loved ones, even amidst urgent matters. From Catullus, never dismiss a friend's complaint, even if it's unjust. Instead, work to restore the friendship and bring them back to their original goodwill. Always speak well of your mentors whenever the opportunity arises, as it's said of Domitius and Athenodotus, and love your children with genuine affection. From my brother Severus, be kind and loving to everyone in your household and family. It was through him that I learned of Thrasea, Ovidius, Cato, Dio and Brutus. He first inspired me to desire a fair and just commonwealth where equality and the well-being of the people were paramount. He also taught me to stay focused on the study and value of philosophy, undistracted by other concerns. He showed me how to be generous, to expect the best from life and to trust in the love of my friends. I also admired his honesty, especially in criticism, and how transparent he was. His intentions were always clear to those around him. From Claudius Maximus, I learned the importance of self-control and staying grounded, never letting external events sway me. In every situation, whether unexpected or difficult, like illness, he remained upbeat and brave. He valued kindness, moderation and seriousness, and whatever task he took on, he gave it his full effort without complaint. People trusted him completely because his words aligned with his thoughts, and his actions were always carried out with good intentions. He never let anything surprise him, never rushed, but was never sluggish either. He was never confused, downcast or inappropriate, and didn't laugh excessively. Anger and suspicion had no place in him. Instead, he was always willing to help, to forgive, and to speak the truth. His character seemed naturally upright, as though he had never needed to be corrected. No one ever felt belittled by him, nor could anyone honestly believe they were better than him. He was also known for being pleasant and gracious. In my father, I observed a man of unwavering steadiness, who, once he had carefully considered and decided on a course of action, remained resolute and calm. He carried himself with humility in positions of honour, and never sought vanity or empty praise. His diligence was unmatched, always attentive to the needs of others and ready to listen for the greater good. He was fair and just, giving every man his due, and he knew when to apply severity or leniency as the situation required. He abstained from all forms of impropriety, behaving with the moderation and restraint of an ordinary man, never demanding constant attendance from his friends or imposing upon them unnecessarily. He was thorough in his deliberations, never hastily satisfied with superficial answers, and cherished his friends, neither neglecting them nor being overly attached. Content with what he had, his demeanour was ever cheerful, and he foresaw and managed affairs quietly, shunning all flattery. He was neither a slave to superstition nor a seeker of popular acclaim, but conducted himself soberly and in accordance with propriety. In enjoying the privileges afforded by his fortune, he was neither boastful nor anxious, and when deprived of them, he felt no lack. He honoured true philosophers without reproaching those who were not, and his company was pleasant and sociable, yet never overwhelming. He cared for his body with moderation, neither obsessed with longevity nor neglectful of his health. He recognised and supported the unique talents of others, whether in eloquence or law, always ensuring they were esteemed for their strengths. Though he adhered to the customs of his forefathers, he did so without seeking recognition for his traditionalism. He was constant in his affairs, unshaken by change, and after illness or setbacks, he returned to his duties with vigour. Secrets he kept few and only for public matters, exercising moderation in all his public roles, valuing justice over glory. He was never drawn to extravagance in any form, whether in his use of the baths, his food, or his clothing. He remained calm and composed, never rushing or appearing overburdened, conducting all matters with deliberate and orderly ease. In both prosperity and adversity, he held firm to moderation and self-control, showing the strength of a truly invincible soul, particularly in times of sickness and hardship. I'm grateful to the gods for the blessings in my life, having good grandparents, parents and a sister, wise teachers and supportive friends and family. Despite my impulsive nature, I was spared from making reckless mistakes thanks to divine intervention. I'm thankful I wasn't raised by my father's concubine and that I preserved my youth without prematurely seeking adulthood. I owe much to my father who taught me humility and self-control, showing that a ruler doesn't need excessive luxury to govern effectively. He taught me to live simply, without losing dignity or authority. I'm grateful for a brother who inspired me and a family free from physical deformities. I didn't excel in rhetoric or poetry, which might have distracted me, and I was able to promote those who raised me to the positions they desired without false promises. Knowing mentors like Apollonius, Rusticus and Maximus has been invaluable. They helped me contemplate the natural way of living, and I realise now that if I had listened to the guidance of the gods earlier, I could have embraced this life sooner. Still, I'm thankful that my body has endured this long. I'm also grateful for overcoming romantic distractions and not harming Rusticus despite occasional frustrations. Though my mother died young, she was with me in her later years. Whenever I wanted to help someone in need, there was always enough to do so, and I never needed to ask for help myself. I'm blessed with a loving, obedient wife, and had good people to educate my children. I received help through dreams such as curing my health issues. When I turned to philosophy, I was spared from falling into the traps of sophistry or pointless debates. All of these blessings I owe to the gods and fortune. Every morning, remind yourself that you'll encounter difficult people. Those who are curious for the wrong reasons, ungrateful, deceitful, or envious. Their negative traits stem from ignorance about what is truly good and bad. However, you understand what is genuinely valuable and harmful. You also recognize that these people, despite their faults, are still connected to you through shared human reason and the divine nature within us all. Knowing this, why let them disturb you? They can't truly harm you or force you to compromise your values. Remember, we're all here to work together, like parts of the body, hands, feet, eyelids, all cooperating. To be in conflict with others is against our nature and purpose. Whatever I am can be broken down into three parts: my body, my life force and my rational mind, which we often call the guiding principle of humanity. Set aside your books and stop letting your mind be pulled in every direction. Focus as if you were at the brink of death. Think little of your body. It's just flesh, blood, bones and skin, a complex structure of nerves, veins and arteries. Don't give it more thought than that. As for your life, it's like the wind, constantly changing, never the same from one moment to the next. The third part is your rational mind, the part that rules over the rest. Remember, you are an older person now. Don't let this excellent part of you become enslaved to irrational desires and impulses as if controlled by strings. Don't allow it to resent the present or fear the future, for both are beyond your control and destined to unfold as they will. Everything that comes directly from the gods is guided by their divine wisdom, and anyone would agree that such things are part of their greater plan. Even the events we attribute to chance are interconnected with nature and the grand design orchestrated by divine providence. Everything flows from this source. Whatever exists is necessary and beneficial to the whole, of which you are a part. Whatever is essential for the well-being of the universe must also be good for each individual. The universe sustains itself through the constant transformation of its basic elements, and by the continual change and adaptation of everything within it. Let this understanding be your guiding principle. Stop being consumed by an endless thirst for books and knowledge. Let go of it quickly so that when the time comes for you to pass on, You do so without bitterness or complaint, but with genuine humility, contentment, and gratitude to the gods. You've already delayed these things for far too long. Think of how many times you've set a date or a time for change only to let it slip by. It's time to wake up and understand the true nature of the world you're part of and the higher power that governs it, the source from which you came. Your time here is limited, and if you don't use it to bring peace and clarity to your troubled mind, it will slip away and you will go with it. You won't get another chance. As a Roman and a human being, focus on doing whatever task is before you with sincerity, genuine care, and a sense of justice. Let go of unnecessary worries and distractions. You can achieve peace of mind by treating each action as if it were your last, free from vanity, impulsive desires, irrational thoughts, hypocrisy, selfishness, and resentment toward what fate or the divine has brought your way. Remember, it doesn't take much to live a meaningful and virtuous life. The gods ask for nothing more than for you to follow these simple principles. Go ahead, soul, criticize and belittle yourself. But remember, time is running out for you to finally start valuing yourself. Happiness is something each person must create from within, but your life is nearing its end. And instead of showing yourself respect, you're making your happiness depend on the thoughts and opinions of others. Why let external events disturb you so much? Take a moment to learn something meaningful and stop aimlessly wandering from one thing to another. Also be cautious of another kind of wandering, being aimless in your actions. Those who toil and struggle in life without a clear purpose are just as lost. Every movement and desire should have a definite direction. Observing another person's inner state has rarely caused anyone unhappiness. Remind anyone who fails to guide their soul with reason and wisdom that they are bound to be unhappy. Keep these thoughts always in mind. What is the nature of the universe? And what is my nature? How do I fit into the greater whole? What is my role in this universe? Remember, nothing can stop you from acting and speaking in ways that align with your nature as a part of the universe. Theophrastus wisely compares different types of wrongdoing. He argues that sins committed out of lust are worse than those committed out of anger. When someone sins in anger, they are turning away from reason because they are hurt. But when someone sins from lust, they are overcome by pleasure and reveal a lack of control and a weak character. He rightly concludes that a person who sins for pleasure is more blameworthy than one who sins from grief or anger, because the angry person was likely wronged and acted from a place of pain, while the person who acted out of lust simply made a deliberate choice. Whatever you love or plan to do it as if you might leave this life at any moment. As for death, if gods exist, it shouldn't be something to fear. Leaving this world won't harm you because the gods mean no harm. But if there are no gods or they don't care for the world, then why would I want to live in a world without divine order? However, I believe there are gods and they care for the universe. They've given us control over what truly matters, avoiding vice and wickedness. If there were other genuine evils, the gods would have ensured we could avoid them too. But why should we see anything as harmful to our lives if it doesn't make us better or worse as people? We must not think that the universe either failed to see or couldn't prevent the things that happen to us. It didn't allow good and bad things to happen equally to everyone through a lack of power or wisdom. Life and death, honour and dishonour, hardship and pleasure, wealth and poverty, these happen to all people, good and bad alike. But they're neither good nor bad in themselves, and they don't make a person praiseworthy or shameful. Reflect on how quickly everything dissolves and changes. Bodies return to the elements and memories fade into history. Think about the nature of the things that tempt you with pleasure, scare you with fear, or are admired for their beauty. How trivial, corruptible, and lacking in real substance they truly are. A wise person reflects on the true nature of those who give honour and praise, understanding that their opinions don't define reality. Likewise, we should contemplate death by stripping away the usual fears and associations, seeing it as a natural process. Fearing something natural is childish. Death is not only a natural event, but also beneficial to the natural order. Reflect on how humans are connected to the divine, and how that connection is affected when people focus on everything outside themselves. The most miserable soul is one that constantly seeks to understand everything around it, including others' thoughts, but fails to care for its own inner self. A person should focus on nurturing their spirit, keeping it pure from anger, vanity, rashness or discontent, toward both gods and men. Everything from the gods deserves respect, and we should approach others with love, or at least with pity for their ignorance of true good and bad. Whether you live for 3,000 years or 10,000, remember that you only part with the life you are living in the present moment. Time, whether long or short, ends the same way for everyone. The only thing a person can lose is the moment they are living right now. The past is already gone and the future isn't here yet, so in death we only lose the present. Remember these two things. First, everything in the world has always been and will always be the same, repeating in cycles. So it doesn't matter if you live for 100 years or forever, you'll see the same things. Second, the life you give up at death is the same for both the long-lived and short-lived, because you can only lose the present moment, not what's already passed or hasn't come yet. Everything in life is just a matter of perception and belief. Things are clear and obvious if you see them for what they truly are, not just how they seem to please or comfort you. The soul harms itself in several ways. First, by disconnecting from the natural world and becoming alienated from it, which happens when you're upset by anything that occurs in life. Second, by acting against others or wishing harm upon them, such as when you are angry. Third, by letting pleasure or pain take control. Fourth, by being dishonest in actions or words. Fifth, by pursuing things aimlessly without considering how they align with the greater purpose. Even small actions should be done with the larger goal in mind, to live in harmony with the rational order of the universe, following the laws of the world and the natural order we are part of. A man's life is but a moment in time. Everything in it constantly changes. The understanding of it is often unclear, and the body itself is always heading toward decay. The soul is restless, fate unpredictable, and any lasting fame is uncertain. In short, everything related to the body flows away like a river, and everything about the soul is fleeting, like a dream or smoke. Life is a battle, a journey with no permanent home. Fame after death is just another form of forgetting. What then remains with us? Only one thing: philosophy. Philosophy teaches us to guard the spirit within, keeping it untouched by insults, injuries, or the extremes of pain and pleasure. It means avoiding rashness, dishonesty, and hypocrisy, depending entirely on oneself and one's own actions. It involves accepting everything that happens as something sent by the same source from which we ourselves came. Above all, philosophy teaches us to wait for death with calmness and cheer, seeing it simply as the natural return of the elements that make up all things. If the elements themselves are not harmed by their constant transformation into new forms, why should anyone fear death, which is just another natural change? If it is in line with nature, then it cannot be evil. This reflection came to me while I was at Carnuntum. A person must not only recognize how, with each passing day, life is diminishing, but also consider that even if they live a long time, they cannot guarantee that their mind will remain sharp and capable. Over time, their ability to make wise decisions or engage in deep thought may decline, and it is through this mental clarity that true understanding of both human and divine matters depends. If a person begins to lose their mental sharpness, their basic functions, breathing, digestion, imagination and desires may continue unchanged. However, they will no longer be able to use their mind as effectively as they should. They will struggle to discern what is right, to correct wrong judgments, and to reflect on important matters, such as whether or not they should continue living. For these tasks, where the strength and clarity of the mind are crucial, their power will have faded. Therefore, you must act quickly, not just because each day brings you closer to death, but also because the mental faculty that allows you to understand the true nature of things and guide your actions is gradually wasting away, and may fail you before death comes. You should also notice this. Whatever naturally happens to things in nature carries a certain beauty and charm, even when it doesn't follow the original intention. For example, when a loaf of bread is baked, its crust may split and crack, creating uneven and rough surfaces. Though this was not the intended outcome, these imperfections have their own appeal and make the bread more appetizing. Figs are often considered most beautiful and ripe when they start to wrinkle and shrink. Olives, when they are close to spoiling, display their peak beauty. Even things like the sagging of grapes, the furrowed brow of a lion, or the froth of a wild boar may seem unattractive by themselves. But because they occur naturally, they possess a certain charm and appeal. If you look deeply at the world, even the smallest, seemingly insignificant things will reveal beauty and delight. You will appreciate the raw beauty of nature just as much as the skilled works of artists who try to imitate it. You will see the grace in aging in both men and women and in all things. With a pure and mindful perspective, you'll find beauty in everything, even in ways that others might overlook. But this understanding is only available to those who are deeply in tune with nature and its workings. Hippocrates, who cured many illnesses, eventually fell ill himself and died. The Chaldeans and astrologers who predicted the deaths of others were ultimately overtaken by fate. Great conquerors like Alexander, Pompey and Julius Caesar, who destroyed cities and armies, all met death themselves. Heraclitus, who wrote about the ultimate destruction of the world, died full of water and covered in filth. Democritus was killed by lice, and Socrates was destroyed by a different kind of pest, wicked, immoral people. So what does this mean? You have embarked on the journey of life, sailed through it and reached the shore. Now it's time to disembark. If there's another life after this one, you will find God's there just as they are here. If life and consciousness end completely, then you will no longer feel pain or pleasure, and you will no longer be a servant to this frail body, the body that is far baser than the soul, which is rational, spiritual substance, while the body is merely earth and blood. Don't waste the rest of your life thinking about what other people are doing, unless it relates to the common good. Avoid letting thoughts of others' actions or intentions distract you from more meaningful work. Don't spend your time pondering what others are saying, thinking or planning, as these curiosities only pull you away from focusing on your own rational and guiding mind. Be mindful of the thoughts you entertain, ensuring they are neither idle nor irrelevant, and especially avoiding those that are prying or spiteful. Train yourself to think only about things that you wouldn't be ashamed to share if someone suddenly asked you what you were thinking. Let your thoughts always reflect sincerity and peace, as fitting for someone who lives for society's benefit, not indulging in fleeting pleasures or negative emotions like envy, suspicion or anger. A person who lives this way seizes what is truly good and acts with integrity. They keep their mind pure, undistracted by pleasure or pain, and remain free from harm inflicted either by themselves or others. Such a person is disciplined and focused, overcoming emotions and impulses, and deeply rooted in righteousness. They accept everything that happens to them as a necessary and beneficial part of their life, understanding that whatever fate or providence assigns is meant for their growth. This person acknowledges that all rational beings are connected and that it's natural to care for others, but they seek approval only from those who live according to nature. They are aware of the conditions and circumstances of those who do not live by nature's principles, whether at home or in public, day or night. They recognize that the praise of such people is meaningless, since these individuals do not even approve of themselves. Don't act against your own will, against the interests of the community, or without careful consideration. Avoid doing things with reluctance. Don't try to dress up your thoughts with overly elaborate language. Don't be overly talkative or take on more than you can manage. Let the guiding spirit within you recognize that it's dealing with a mature, rational and social person, someone who carries the responsibilities of a citizen and a leader. Live your life in a way that shows you're ready to leave it at any moment with dignity, like a soldier prepared for a call to retreat. Be the kind of person who doesn't need oaths or witnesses to affirm their words or actions. Your integrity should be evident. Be cheerful and self-sufficient. Avoid depending on others for support, comfort or peace of mind. Be someone who is naturally upright and steady, rather than someone who constantly needs correction or outside assistance to stay on the right path. If you discover anything in this life that is better than integrity, truth, self-control, courage and a mind at peace with its actions and receptive to what life brings, then devote yourself wholeheartedly to it and freely embrace it. But if you find nothing more valuable than nurturing your inner spirit, mastering your desires and holding your thoughts to thoughtful scrutiny, then stay committed to it. Avoid anything that distracts you from pursuing your highest good, your own inner strength. Do not let worldly rewards, whether fame, wealth or pleasure, compete with what is truly good and rational. These external gains, even if tempting at first, quickly seize control and can mislead your mind. Choose only the best path for yourself and remain steadfast. If what others call best is only what benefits human nature in general, defend it as such. But if they mean something fleeting and superficial, reject it. Guard your mind against illusions that mask true worth so you may clearly see what is right. Never consider anything beneficial if it would force you to betray your integrity, lose respect, foster resentment, deceive or crave things that need secrecy. The person who values reason and the sacred virtues it brings will avoid complaint, loneliness and fear. Such a person is content in both solitude and company, free from cravings or anxieties. They are ready for life's end whenever it arrives, as calmly as for any other duty approached with decency and purpose. In a mind disciplined and purified, you will find nothing twisted, hidden or toxic. There are no unworthy attachments, no malice, nothing harmful or obscure. When such a person meets death, they do so with the satisfaction of a completed work, like an actor who exits the stage having fulfilled their role. Honor and respect your ability to think and judge clearly, for it's the key to everything. Let your opinions align with what's natural and fitting for a rational being. The aim of a rational mind is to act thoughtfully, treat others kindly, and willingly accept life's circumstances as part of a larger design. Focus on these few guiding principles, and remember that each moment you live is all you truly have. The present is fleeting, and the rest is either gone or uncertain. Life is brief, our place in the world is small, and any lasting fame is held only by people who themselves will soon pass, barely knowing themselves, let alone those who came before them. To strengthen this mindset, train yourself to see things as they truly are. Describe and examine each experience and thought clearly and objectively, breaking it down into its essential parts. Look at its nature, purpose, and what role it plays in the grand order of the universe. Ask yourself, what purpose does it serve? How important is it in the scope of the universe, and what value does it hold for me as a member of humanity? When something captures your attention, consider its nature, how long it might last, and which virtue is most suited to address it. Be it patience, courage, honesty, trust, or contentment. See each experience as either divinely arranged or a natural outcome of life's interconnectedness. And when people act ignorantly, recognize that they act without full understanding, and respond to them with kindness and justice, as is fitting within the natural bond of humanity. For things that hold no real weight, respond with a balanced perspective according to their true value. Focus fully on what's in front of you, guided by reason and integrity. A Approach every task steadily, sincerely and calmly, without letting other distractions cloud your mind. Keep your spirit pure and aligned with the present moment, free from fear or anticipation. If you live by these principles, acting and speaking with genuine honesty, you will find happiness, and no one can take this away from you. Just as doctors have tools ready for unexpected situations, keep your core beliefs close at hand. Use them to understand both the divine and human aspects of life. Remember that true wisdom connects the spiritual and the earthly. You can't succeed in worldly matters without a sense of the divine, nor can you grasp the divine fully without respect for the human experience. Don't be deceived by the notion that you'll always have time to read your planned books or reflections on famous figures. Life moves quickly, and the time to act is now. Let go of idle hopes and focus on what truly matters to you while you still can. Everyday actions like buying, resting, seeing and reflecting are understood in different ways by different people. Our bodies, souls and minds each play distinct roles. Just as senses serve the body and desires shape the soul, principles guide the mind. The capacity to imagine belongs to all living beings, but to be overtaken by base desires, as wild animals or tyrants like Nero were, is destructive. Choosing to act from reason and integrity is common even to those who deny higher powers or behave without conscience. What sets us apart is our ability to accept life's events with grace, keeping our inner spirit peaceful and respectful, as though it were a sacred temple. This spirit, rooted in truth and justice, is our greatest guide and source of strength.